Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode I want to talk to you about how to be a camera trainee, and more specifically how I worked as a camera trainee on the Complex. If you don't know what the Complex is an interactive feature film that's just been released on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo and all the gaming platforms. So I'm going to show you the trailer now and then we'll get into the video.
We stand on the precipice of history. Our teams have been working with some of the country's top scientists.
We need proper assurances about these nanocells, Dr. Tennant.
Why should we continue to bankroll someone so young?
All I can ask is that you trust me. I will deliver.
We need to get you on the scene immediately.
See? How? Nothing leaves or enters the lab without us knowing about it.
The safety of London is paramount. We can't risk a bug getting into the city.
Help me!
Time is running out.
The supply tent's been depleted. There's only one vial left. What are you going to do?
The nanocells cannot fall into the wrong hands.
Make a decision.
We're in this together.
I trust you.
She'd be sacrificing herself to save millions.
I'm not a murderer. How do I save them both?
Right guys, so that was the trailer for the Complex. I hope you enjoyed it. Before we get into the subject matter of this video, I just want to give a little bit of background on myself and what my experiences were before the Complex. So before the Complex, I was mainly studying. I was studying at college on the subject of film production, and in between my studies I was trying to get some on-set experience. So I was lucky enough to be invited onto a few projects as a camera assistant. So I worked on an independent feature film as my first job, with quite a low budget as a second AC, and I had a short film after that. So this brings us up to date to the time in which I started the Complex. So the Complex, being an interactive video game, had quite a large budget. This was very different to what I was used to before. I was used to working as a second AC on low budget stuff, so to come on as a trainee on a high budget production was quite a big step for me. So before we go any further with this video, I just want to say that there's going to be quite a few bits of technical talk every now and then, so if there's anything you don't understand, please do not hesitate to put a comment in the comment section. I'll be sure to reply to you. And I'm sorry if you're someone that's already currently working in the industry and you find my explaining a little bit boring. I just wanted to cover all areas so that anyone can watch this video and can understand and learn. I know we're 3 minutes into the video at this point and I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get here, but now we're going to get into my experience of working on the Complex as a camera trainee. In the background of the video you're going to see some pictures and videos that I took during the production of the Complex, which will relate to what I'm talking about during the commentary. So thank you so much for listening and enjoy. So let me set the scene for you. After I applied for the job and got given the place as camera trainee, I received the call sheets. The first thing I noticed from the call sheets was that there's an awful lot of crew. This was a bit nerve-wracking for me, as I'm previously used to quite small crews where everyone helps each other out and that sort of thing, whereas this would be very different because there'd be a lot of different departments and a lot of different people inside these departments. The next thing I thought about was, if there's lots of crew, why might that be the case? I soon came to the conclusion that there's 2 cameras. This was again going to be different for me because I'm not used to using 2 cameras. I'm barely used to using 1. As I said before, I wasn't very experienced, so this was going to be a massive jump for me. Then it came to the first day of shooting. So I wake up nice and early, I get the train to location, and I meet some of the crew. The first people I meet is the production team, and then I met some of the locations teams and some of the other departments. Then I got taken up to meet the camera crew. After introducing myself and having a bit of a chat with everyone, the first thing I was asked was, do I have the call sheets, the sides, and the runners and riders? Obviously I know what call sheets are because I worked on a few productions before, but I didn't have a clue what was meant by sides and runners and riders. riders. Obviously this was my first camera trainee job, so there was a lot of things I had to learn. Obviously I wasn't going to turn around and say I knew even though I didn't. That's the worst thing you can do on set. So I went to my second AC and explained that I'd never worked as a camera trainee before. I didn't have a clue what he meant. And basically he explained. So for anyone that doesn't know, runners and riders are part of the call sheet that's cut out to put on the side of the camera. This bit of the call sheet is the bit that's got the actors on it, what their real name is and what their character name is. So this helps the DOP know who he's talking to when he's trying to ask actors to move to different places and that sort of thing. So on screen now you can see an example of some runners and riders on the camera, just to the right of the eyepiece. Sorry it's not the best of images, but at least it shows you what they are. So this is the sort of job that the camera trainee is expected to do each day. The camera trainee will usually turn up a little bit earlier to complete runners and riders and call sheets to make sure that it's ready for the rest of the camera department, so when they turn up they know what's going to be happening throughout the day and what they're going to be up to. So this brings us on to the second role of the camera trainee. This again is another one that you might turn up early for, and this is batteries. So on set you've got a lot of equipment, from cameras to monitors to wireless follow focus and all sorts. Obviously there's a lot of batteries, and one of the main responsibilities of the camera trainee is to make sure that everything is fully charged and that if anything's running low on battery then the battery gets switched. One of the first things the camera trainee will do at the beginning of the day is go to the battery chargers and take off any fresh ones and put them into a bag. Therefore they can bring them close to the cameras, close to set, and they can have them on standby for if anything goes down. This also goes for the end of the day. If there's batteries that are being used at the end of the day, they should go straight on charge on location so they're ready and charged for the next day. Right, so going back to my experiences on the first day. So after I'd done the runners and riders, the next thing my second AC asked me was if I could hook up a video feed from the camera to the script supervisor's monitor. Much like the runners and riders situation, I was completely confused. The most I'd worked with was one monitor that went on top of the camera so the focus puller could see what was going on. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. This happened a lot over the first couple of days as I found my feet as a camera trainee. And to that second AC, if you're watching, you're probably not, but I'm sorry. But then again, learning from someone else is the best way to learn. So the first thing I had to work out here was which of the monitors was for the script supervisor. And there were tons of monitors, as I'll explain in a little while. And the next thing I needed to work out was how to connect the camera to the monitor, what sort of cabling I'd be using. So I think the main reason I was getting confused about which one was the right monitor was because there was a total of 11 monitors on set. So let me give you a quick breakdown on what the monitors were that we had on set. In the background here I'll put up some pictures that correspond to the different types of monitors. So the first two monitors we had were onboard monitors. These sit on top of the camera so that the operator and the DOP can see what they're framing up. These monitors were TV Logic monitors for anyone that's interested. The next two monitors we had were focus pullers monitors. These again were TV Logic monitors. These were set up on stands away from the camera. This meant that the DOP could have some space. The next monitors were two 17-inch monitors. I believe again these were TV Logic monitors. Originally I thought these could be the script supervisor monitors, but it turned out they were for hair and makeup. The next two monitors we had were director's monitors. I believe again these were TV Logic monitors, but don't quote me on that. But these were 9-inch monitors. They were a little bit bigger and they were set up on one stand next to each other, so you had A feed on the left and B feed on the right. Below that we had the script supervisor's monitor. This monitor was made by a company called Odyssey and it was a 7.7-inch monitor. We used the Odyssey in a split screen mode, which meant that we could have half of the screen as A camera and half of the screen as B camera feed. The two other monitors we had on set were built into the sound cart, one of which would display A feed, one of which would display B feed. So that was all of our monitors. The next important thing was how we were going to wire them up. So after speaking to my second AC, he told me that you wire the camera to the monitor using BNC cables. I'd never worked with BNC cables before. Here's a picture of one on screen now. It wasn't as simple as just plugging from the camera into the monitor though. There was a specific order in which the monitors had to be wired up. So let me draw you a diagram to explain how they were all connected. So most of the monitors were connected by BNC cables, but that didn't apply for all of them. Some of them were connected using wireless transmitters and receivers. Most commonly on set you hear of a brand called Teradek. On the complex we didn't use Teradeks, we used the equivalent, a brand called Box. So, the ways the monitors were set up were as follows. We had both A cam and B cam attached to wireless transmitters. The receivers were then put on the focus puller's monitors. Therefore, they could be away from the shot if need be and also have a video feed. We then had to wire from the focus puller's monitors to the director's monitors using BNC cables. Sometimes we had to do this over longer distances, so we had to use something that's called a BNC drum. This is much like an extension cord, but instead coiled up as a big BNC cable. From the director's monitors, we then had to connect to the script supervisor's monitors. On the back of the director's monitors, we used what's known as a BNC extender or splitter. This is very much like a headphone splitter in regards to the fact that it took the SDI out and splitted it into two SDI outs, so we could have two different outputs. When I talk about SDI and BNC, I basically mean the same thing. One's a male, one's a female, one's the connector and one's the plug. I'll put a definition up on screen now. We then used one of these outputs to connect to the Odyssey, the script supervisor's monitor. We then went out of the director's monitors again using VNCs and went into the sound cart. The final step was to go from the sound cart to the hair and makeup department monitors, the big 17-inch monitors. We did that again through the use of a VNC drum. All of these monitors had to be set up in that specific way, and there was one reason for that. If we put, say, the hair and makeup monitor in front of the sound monitor in the chain of VNCs, and then the hair and makeup monitor goes down, then sound lose picture. And sound's one of the crucial departments that you don't want to lose picture, because obviously they need to see if boom's in shot, they need to see what's going to happen with movement with the camera, so they can either boost the sound levels, lower them, that sort of thing. So they need to see what's going on. There's a lot of things like that that meant the chain had to stay fairly similar and fairly consistent. There were a few examples where we changed that though. There were some times in which we saw a lot of the set, so we needed the director's monitor offset and a little bit further away. To do this meant that they couldn't be wired from the focus monitors. Therefore, to do this, we had to take the wireless receivers off the focus monitors and put them on the director's monitors. Therefore, we didn't have any cables trailing along set. This meant that we could have the director's monitor further away. So that wraps up my talk on monitors. There are a few more things I could talk about that are more specific to the location that we shot in, and a few issues that we had with the monitors and the wireless transmitters and receivers and that sort of thing. But I might go into that in a second episode if anyone wants one. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about was duties that are separate to my normal camera trainee duties. Most productions usually have a second AC per camera. We only had 1 second AC and we had 2 cameras, so that meant sometimes I had to take on some of the responsibilities of a second AC. For a lot of the B-cam footage, I was slating the takes, so I had to make sure that my boards were perfect, they were neat, they were the right distance away to fill the frame and that sort of thing. I can talk about this more on another episode if you'd like. One of the other responsibilities I had were sheets. Camera sheets are quite an important thing. What I mean by sheets is camera reports. Camera reports are quite an essential thing in the camera department. Camera reports are notes of each take, which include things like lenses, T-stop, that sort of thing. And the whole idea is so that different departments get different copies of what's been shot, so the editor can see exactly what one shot consisted of, what it was shot on, what the height of the camera was, this sort of thing. And also, if reshoots need to be done, then they'll be used for that. Our second AC was very busy when it came to the job, because he had to look after 2 cameras, so one of my responsibilities, which a lot of camera trainees often do, is sheets. So our second AC made notes in his notebook. On screen here you can see an example of the Panavision sheets. What it is a booklet that contains almost like a tracing paper in some way. When you write on it, it goes through to several different layers, so different people can have different copies of the same information. I was copying the information from the notebook to these sheets. They had to be neat and they had to be tidy, otherwise they might not be able to be read and someone might misunderstand the information. So this was one of my other responsibilities. I think I'm going to end the video here, guys, because it's been quite a long one, but please do let me know if you'd like another one. I'm sorry if it did get a bit boring in the times that I was talking quite technically. I do have plenty of behind the scenes stills, so I'd be able to show you some more of those if you wanted a second part. But thank you so much for watching. Please give me some tips in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.